Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a generational anime podcast. I am Charles, and I'm here with my father, Mark.
Hello.
So we're gonna start out by reading another email. If you want to email us, please do at generationalanimepod@gmail.com. Okay, so this only email comes from Maya again, and it says, "Hi. I really love that you read my email from last week. This week's episode had many bad reviews, which was hysterical, especially with the grammar. Your number one fan, Maya," which it's a pretty boastful claim, and I'm not going to deny it.
She definitely is.
Number one fan right here. I mean, if you want to come for her title, not saying you should, not saying you shouldn't, but if you do, email us at generationalanimepod@gmail.com. Thank you. Anyways, all right. Before we get into the main course, which is Steins Gate, let's. I wanted to talk about what we've been watching recently. We just finished the Drum Island arc in One Piece, and I want to tread on that for a few minutes, if that's fine by you.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. I'm not going to give a recap. I'm not going to give a summary. That'd be way too long. They go to an island. Nami's sick. Doctor. Tyranny. Friendship. That's about as well as I can sum it up.
Chopper.
I really liked it. I think it's very interesting the way Chopper gets introduced compared to everyone else. Sure, it's there with Nami, but I think it really hits home with Chopper just who Luffy is and the fact that he's so different to everyone else in the world, if that makes sense.
Meaning that he's friends with everybody no matter what?
Yeah, in the sense of he's not trying to go out, he's not trying to cause violence or anything. And of course that's the point of the show, is that he's different from every other pirate out there. But I think given the situation, we just get to see it fully bloom in this arc, especially with Nami getting sick and him climbing up the whole mountain. The sheer dedication there, I think, really says a lot about his character.
Yeah, that's true. I thought it was cool too with Chopper. He's had such a bad backstory that he can't even believe that somebody wants to be his friend.
Yeah,
and it took that much to get him.
Definitely. And I think the parallels between his backstory and what's kind of going on as the whole fight develops were cool. And I say parallels, it's not like it's one-to-one, but just kind of watching everything like that people used against him turn in his favor. It was really heartwarming, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. No, that was a fun arc for sure.
Yeah. And then we touched on the beginning of Alabasta. I think they literally just pulled up to the port and Ace was mentioned, which I'm really excited about because I know a lot more about these characters than he does, and it's going to be fun for me to watch his reactions.
Yeah, I know nothing other than what I saw in the live action, and we're past that now, so.
That, and
I know some of the characters,
yeah,
but I don't know
that,
about
and
them.
we've also watched a few episodes of Thriller Bark together.
Oh, that's true, that's right.
So you know some stuff that happens there. Like, you know that Robin eventually joins the crew. That's not like going to be a big turning surprise for you. Anyways, on to the main course. That is Steins Gate. So how do we want to start this off? Do you just want to read your little episode summary, or?
Yeah, so if you listen to the first episode, you know that my favorite anime ever is Steins Gate.
It's number one.
This is the first time I've ever gotten you to watch it.
Yes.
And what we've decided to do is break it up into 4 6-episode reviews or whatever, talk-throughs. And I'll just read the episode title, a very short synopsis, and then we can just kind of talk about it from there.
Okay.
We've tried not to discuss it leading up to this, but we've had a few conversations.
We're doing this episode today because I just finished it a few minutes ago, and I started to go off on rants between each episode. I'd walk into the kitchen, I'd just start yelling, and he just wouldn't respond to me. So I'm partially doing this episode just so I don't talk about it more. I'm also partially doing this episode right now just so I can hear him respond to my questions.
That makes sense. Okay. So I took very detailed notes and I'll kind of guide through it, I guess, and just let you comment. Or do you want
Yeah.
me to? You want to give your comments first about the episode, then we'll go through it.
No. I think that's about fair. My notes are not as detailed. They're very brief. I mean, they get a little detailed. I mean, they get less detailed over time.
Okay. So, episode 1, Turning Point. A mad scientist learns that his text messages are no longer bound by the rules of space and time when he attends a lecture on a subject of time travel. Okay, so the episode starts with just him on top of Okabe on top of his building reading a poem about being a scientist, and scientists don't make great poets. And it's just he and Mayuri on the roof.
Well, yeah, isn't it? Doesn't he start off talking into a phone, or something? It's his recording, right?
Or him just talking to the fake agency.
Yeah, because that's one of my notes I took down. I'm curious. I was curious who he was talking to. I assumed he just, given his behavior, he's just talking to nobody. But
And you've learned that now through 6 episodes that he tends to do that, right?
yeah,
So
unless they're gonna pull some ass pull that's like, oh, the whole time he was talking to.
So they cut to the radio building, and they hear a loud noise. Okabe looks out the door.
And there's the roof woman.
Okay. And the satellite
Yeah.
had crashed. And then he gets distracted because Mayuri is wanting to buy an Oompa from the gotcha machine.
Yes.
So she gets an Oompa, and it's a metal Oompa.
Metal Oompa.
So she was all excited about that because they're rare.
Oh, you know what? It's funny as I look back upon, like, what's going on and everything. I realize, oh, that makes so much more sense. Okay, sorry, I'm putting pieces together right now because I'm thinking about metal and how the microwave works, and I think the fact that it's a metal Oompa is very important to the story. Is it not? Maybe, as you say, Silent.
So this is the other thing that we talked about is, since I know everything that happens and he's coming up with these theories,
My crackpot theories.
I'm just keeping a straight face to any theory you give, whether it's right or wrong. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna justify.
No, because the way it works, it would explain everything. Because the metal Oompa, it's how it works with because the satellite would make sense. The satellite crashing, giving off the EMP or whatever waves the microwave gives off later on, and the metal causing something with it. I don't know. I'm just spitballing right now.
So he next goes to I guess Wakabachi is his name. Okabe goes to his lecture, and he challenges him there. He's accusing him of
Ripping off the one guy's thing.
John Teeter.
And I quote, of some internet meme. Those are his direct words.
right.
Which caught me off guard, him mentioning memes directly, but we'll get into that later.
So some of the other guys in the audience are kind of agreeing that it does sound like a lot like what John Teeter has thought in the past. And then all of a sudden, Kirisu shows up, and she takes him out of the lecture hall and asks him what he was trying to tell her 30 minutes ago, what was so important.
Exactly, which... Oh, that makes... No. I'm gonna save it. But my note right here is, I mean, I know it's a time travel series. I think going in, you know it's a time travel series. And I assume it was just a future version of him talking to Kurt. Future past, I don't understand how the timeline works, but it's some version of him from earlier or later on who talked to her. That's my guess. That's my note.
Okay. So he runs away. His phone screen goes blurry, and then Okabe and Mayuri are discussing selling the Oompa because he wants her to sell it since he found out it's rare to make money for the lab. She doesn't want to. And then all of a sudden they hear a scream in the distance.
Okay.
And then
Keep going.
Okabe tells Mayuri to leave and goes to investigate, and he finds
Kurisu, dead on the floor.
dead on the floor.
They only show half of her, right?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it's painfully obvious it's her.
No, I mean, like, they show half of her body. That's what I'm... Because it's... You know how it works. Everyone who's time traveled to death...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Later on, by CERN and stuff, have been it's the same with the text. The text messages are getting halved. They're getting cut. It's
Yeah, I don't mind telling you you're barking up the wrong tree on that
Okay,
one.
okay.
Yeah, that's no big deal. So outside, he tells Mayuri about the stabbing. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. You skipped over one or I guess you didn't skip over, but okay. This is such a stupid little nitpick. But if Mayuri loves these things so much and she's so obsessed with them, why the hell did she drop it? I'm sorry, but like when I get if I go to Walmart, right? Let's say I go buy an action figure or whatever, I'm not letting that thing out of my hand till I get home. How did she? Is she just that dumb?
I mean, you've seen 6 episodes.
Yeah, no, you make a good point.
She's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, is she?
No, not at all. Which is funny because later Kurisu calls her the socially normal one compared to Okabe, which is like
socially normal, but
socially
maybe not.
normal. Maybe who knows. Anyways,
Okay, so outside he tells Mayuri about seeing Kurisu stabbed, and then he sends a text that says, "Not good. Kurisu has been stabbed." And then all of a sudden he kind of transmits or what? Not transmits.
yeah, he goes to
all
like
of a sudden it's like
the empty alternate reality space.
Yeah.
Which is something. It's like this line. The show has a fine line, or not a fine line, a very blurred line between, in my opinion, parallel universes and time travel.
So far.
Okay.
Mayuri gives him a Dr. Pepper. They look up, see the satellite, and then it goes to the OP.
Yeah.
And then when they come back, they're at the lab. He's talking to Alpaca Man.
Yes. So I don't even don't get me started.
Is that all you want to say?
Yeah, I don't have a note about that. I'm gonna dive into this right now because I'm just looking down and I don't want to skip over stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna make this clear to the viewers. I don't like the color palette of this show. That's something I expressed with him earlier and more earlier on. I understand it's the middle of August, right, in Japan, but I think it's just everything's so desaturated. I don't know. It's not appealing to me. Call me like, ooh, I'm a big bright color guy. I need, eye candy, but I'm sitting here in the middle of my room, which has orange painted walls. I'm not a big neutral color guy, so
it's fair. I mean, it is a very neutral color palette.
And I think the visual novel as well has had some really good things with line weight specifically around the characters.
I don't know.
So I don't know. It's a little different
Okay.
from what I mean, some of the renders of the visual novel, but it's not my favorite art-wise.
Okay,
That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
so they're back at the lab, and now you meet Daru.
Yes. Don't. I'll discuss him as it goes on.
Okay. There's not much left. We'll finish it up. We can give your overall impressions of the episode. So, you learn that they've got their numbers. So Mayuri's 002, Daru's 003.
Another thing I picked up on is everyone is so young. Like, I didn't realize Okabe is only like what, 19.
Well, he's
20?
in college.
Yeah, he's like what, 20? I thought he'd be a little bit older.
He's in college, and then Kurisu's 18.
Yeah, Kurisu's 18. Mayuri's 17.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. And then I assume Daru is
like,
the same age as
yeah,
Okabe because they were in classes together. So basically, Okabe is telling Daru about the lecture, and they're saying, "No way, man! There wasn't a lecture; it was canceled." And he's starting to feel like he's losing his mind a little bit because what he experienced apparently didn't happen.
Yeah.
So they go down to meet Mr. Braun, who is the landlord and owns the CRT repair shop below their apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And he's there to fix the TV. I guess they go back up, test the phone wave, and they put the bananas in the phone wave, and they all turn into like a green jello substance.
Yeah, which is, of course, as you know, the essence of time travel in a sense. I don't know. It gets into it later. Or do we want to talk about it now?
Well, I got 2 notes left, so let's.
Okay.
So
yeah.
he and Daru go back to Akihabara, And
So no, is that Sword Guy or Sword Guy episode 2? No, Sword Guy's episode 2.
yeah,
my
that's
bad.
episode 2. So
Oh yeah, they go back to Akihabara. They go to the store to go investigate the satellite. They go up the elevator, and the second they exit the elevator, there's Kurisu.
yep. And remember that there was the text. Daru has the text about Kurisu, but it was in his log from 5 days ago.
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to talk about the episode overall, or?
Yeah, we can looking back on this episode, it's definitely a lot more clear, a lot of the stuff, given just where I am now. Like with the green being time travel essence, all that. Overall, it's funny because episode 1 had me hooked, right? I was very curious about what's going on. But then compared to just what follows after it, I feel like episode 1's I mean it's not what's after it for the next like 3 episodes. I feel like it's a little too much of a jump start, if that makes sense. Like I get your episode 1 has to be enticing, but I think the pacing from episode, or not the pacing, but the events in the, I guess it could be the pacing from episode 1 to episode 4 are very different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. And well, you and I talked about this. I mean,
Yeah, plenty of people start it. And
yeah,
then they just stop it.
this is the point where a lot of people don't like this show, and I've read reviews and I've heard people on other podcasts talk about that they either dropped it after 5 or 6, or they actually got through it and were pleasantly surprised after it. So it is it's very slice of lifey right now, and just kind of
Yeah, definitely.
introducing everybody. Okay, so episode 2.
Yeah.
Episode 2, Time Travel Paranoia. Okabe is shocked to learn that Makase Kirisu, who was stabbed by an unknown assailant during the Dr. Nakabachi's lecture, is somehow alive and well. So, continuing from the end of the first episode, he sees her alive and he's amazed that she's there. He's telling her that you were stabbed. I just love that he has no tact.
He's like, he's just met this woman for the first time in her whole life. He's reached in her coat pocket, pulling out her jacket. You were stabbed. It's like, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, if you think about
what logically, yeah.
Yeah, because he feels like he's sane, and
yeah, of course.
he knows what he saw, so he is definitely surprised. And then she goes to do a lecture where she basically is lecturing on the time travel is not real and it's impossible, and he's standing in back and tries to challenge her. I like this scene because then it cuts from the lecture to him outside just all mad
in defeat. I do want to bring up the fact that during her speech, right, she references that time travel is not possible, not with, I think she says not even with like a little blue phone box, which is a reference to Doctor Who. And do we want to talk about, can I talk about my opinions on the references right now?
Sure.
Okay. So this is the first time it's like quote unquote naturally occurred, right? I don't like how they do references in this show. I think I just don't like the fact that it's brought up, not even acknowledged, because they don't acknowledge it, and that's what makes me mad about it. Not mad, but it's like it takes me out of it, because she's talking about, like, okay, the TARDIS one, I get it. Later on, when they go to name their microwave time travel experiment with the phone, they name it D-Mail for DeLorean mail. None of them acknowledge the fact that it's a Back to the Future reference, yet they still decide to make the reference and just roll with it. And it takes me out a little bit, because it's like, it's just, hey audience, look, we're making a joke. Can you chuckle, please? But that's my opinion on the references.
I can see that. I get it more in the DeLorean one, but what did you want? Somebody in the lecture audience to go, "Oh, hey, you're doing a Doctor Who reference.
Yeah,
that's cool."
Okay, that one makes, okay. The TARDIS one makes more sense. Okay. But it's specifically, it was kind of like, it was just a little bit of a jar just hearing her directly mention it like that.
Gotcha. Okay. I gotcha. I still think that's funny how it cuts back to
Him outside depressed. Yeah, no, I think it's funny. It definitely is.
yes. Okay, so they go over to the shrine and they meet Ruka,
Sword dude.
guy.
I said dude.
I know you did, but that's how they introduce him as
Guy.
guy. So Ruka is very feminine, and yet he is definitely a guy. Okay, on their way back, so this is where they got the corn, right?
Yes.
And on their way back home, Okabe and Mayuri are talking, and he's
And
just
then-
asking if you really didn't hear the scream this morning?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. I forgot about that. The next thing I have in my notes is the fact. Well, first of all, the fact that I don't get how they put up with Okabe. I guess maybe because they're all social rejects looking at it now. But I don't know.
Okay, so
At least in the first half, before they get to the discovery, it's like I don't get why any of them put up with him. The fact that they're other than the fact that they're all bonding because they're social rejects.
I'm not going to answer your question or your statement. I'm not going to, but except for I will say one thing.
I know him and Maya are your childhood friends, right? That's makes sense.
Yeah. And who are they putting up with? Are they putting up with
Okabe.
Okabe or Hoeen?
Oh, is Hoeen like his lab name or whatever?
So it's funny. I guess I thought
They don't explain it. He always gets mad when everyone calls him Okabe, and I don't understand why. And that's a note I talk about later when he yells at Kurisu. But it's like I don't get why he doesn't like Okabe so much.
So he has an alter ego that's his mad scientist, and that's Hoeen Kooma.
Okay.
Kooma? I don't even know how to say the last name.
I don't
Hoeen.
know.
And that's when he goes into his crazy old English speak and everything is when he's in that character. And he's in that character most of the time here. And I think they're putting up with the fact that they know that's just him doing his bit.
But is it a bit?
We'll find out.
Okay.
Okay. So
is this the next thing I have in my notes is the part-time girl showing up. I don't
yeah,
remember her name.
That's right. Yeah, Suzaha.
Suzaha.
So Okabe meets
AKA possible spoilers. I don't know. I'm pretty damn confident this woman is John Teeter. And I'm going to get into that later, but that's one of my other crackpot theories.
Okay. So then, so Okabe meets her for the first time, and then he goes and he Googles just to verify that everything happened today the way he thought it would. And he found out that actually the lecture really was canceled. And as he's Googling, he sees Teeter's rants about CERN, and he explains the world lines, and he says he's from the future.
World lines are confusing to me, and it's once again that thing where hopefully it gets explained more.
I'll spoil that. It gets explained more.
It blurs between the definitions of time travel and multiverse.
Well, and I think that all time travel shows run into this.
What's the difference between a parallel universe and a time
travel?
Because
it's so difficult to do time travel shows and not have butterfly effects happen everywhere and be able to explain them.
Yeah.
So there has to be.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he also realized that all of his John Teeter books are gone.
That was an interesting one. I'm going to assume the books really did exist, and this is another thing which made me think of it's a definition between world lines and parallel universe, but it kind of gets a little bit explained when they talk about the fact that when a world line has changed, everyone's memories alter accordingly, which makes me think that Okabe is some sort of like exception to it, which is probably what it is. Just the fact that they have, I'm not gonna play that card, but I'm gonna play the card. If they're explaining it and they're making a noteworthy detail of it, it's oh god, what's the principle? Something's gun, Tchaikovsky's gun.
I don't know that.
Hold on. Okay, so it's Chekhov's gun, and it's a narrative principle that states every element in a story must be necessary and irrelevant elements should be removed. Basically, the thing is that if a gun is introduced in a play, I think it's a play specifically, that someone's going to get shot.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Or that something would happen with that gun.
Yes.
Maybe it frames somebody or something
Yes,
like that.
yes. So that's kind of where I jumped to my conclusion.
Yeah, so that's good, tight storytelling is when you don't have...
Just red herrings out in the open.
Yeah. Okay, so, he realizes the Teeter books are not there. The next day he sees Shining Fingers taking his picture.
Oh.
Moeka.
I wanted to talk about this real quick. That in the time he refreshes the Google search on John Teeter,
Okay.
the results jump from 12 to like 500
Yeah.
or something like that. I have 12 to 5G. I don't know why I said 5G, but like in the minute he looks away, the search results jump tremendously. For no apparent reason.
I can't remember why that is. Unless it was an old search he had up and then he did a new search.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I mean, I remember it happening, but I don't remember the explanation for it.
Of course.
So Moeka or Shining
Fingers
shows the picture that IBN 5100 on her phone.
Yep.
Gets his info. He goes to the Maid Cafe, meets May and Ferris.
Oh. Okay, sorry. Something I want to bring up. I'm back traveling. I'm reading my notes. That I thought it was funny that the character of Hoeen, whatever the hell his name is, dropped the second he was alone and on doing his own research. And I thought that was quite interesting because it's like I just wrote my note about him being kind of insufferable, but then the second he's alone and off doing his own research, and I see you start to crack a little smile, he's like very respectable and he's very calm and he's very collected, and it's kind of nice almost. And then he picks up the phone and he starts yelling at what's his name again? And it's like, okay, well, okay.
His character's great. I'll leave it there.
That's fair. That's
fair. So he goes to the Maid Cafe. He shows Daru the picture. He knows about the 5100.
Yeah.
So they go back to the lab and try another banana experiment. This time they take one banana,
put it in the microwave, and is that the one where? Which one? When is it when it gets?
So they run the experiment and then they look in the microwave and the banana's gone.
Gone, and it's back in the bunch, right?
Yeah, they're.
But
perplexed.
this time it's back in the bunch without the slime, right?
No, it's always got.
Slime. It's always got the slime. Okay.
And then Kirisu's at the door, and she sees it, and that's where it ends.
Yippee! All right, episode 3.
Episode 3 is called Parallel World Paranoia. Okabe discovers that his microwave can send messages to the past. He uncovers a shocking secret when he hacks into the CERN network.
Whoa! All right, you go ahead with your notes because mine are less detailed. Like my first note talks about Kurisu and her ties to the USA.
Okay, so it zooms back and Kirisu's at the door, and she's piecing together what's happened, and Okabe goes into full Hoeen mode and is talking to the saying that she's a spy and everything like that on his phone.
Yeah.
So she inspects the banana. She goes over and touches it and actually tastes it.
Yes, she does.
And then is this the first time he calls her Christina?
Yes, it is the first of many, many times.
I don't know why it tickles me so much. He always calls her Christina. It makes her so mad.
Christina! It's funny, I'll admit.
So, in order to be able to discuss what's going on with her, they have to admit her as a member. So she's now member 004.
004.
For the Future Gadget Laboratory.
Oh, while we're on the subject of the microwave, I'm going to skip ahead to one of my notes. Okay. The microwave timer is weird.
Okay.
Like, now I'm not talking about the lights. What are the lights even from? Because what do they combine together? They combine a microwave and something else, right?
Vacuum tubes.
Is that what
basically,
what those lights are?
Yeah.
The 600, it's 600, I think.
They're different numbers.
At first, it just says 6.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
You talking about the red filament?
Yeah, the red filament and the little, like,
In the
orange
vacuum
tinted
tubes?
lights. Yes.
Yeah. I don't, those numbers change.
Okay. I think, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the actual timer. The actual timer is like a wheel, like a physical wheel that just turns.
I guess I don't know. I didn't even catch that.
I don't know. It was just an odd detail that caught my eye.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So, and then it goes into, so they start to talk about the electrical discharge. This is where it gets a little bit convoluted in that they know that when it works, there's an electrical discharge that comes from the microwave. And other times they've tried it, it hasn't worked. There hasn't been that electrical discharge.
But the banana still got covered in slime. Right?
I think it still gets covered in slime.
Because that's what happens the first time. The banana stays in the microwave but gets covered in slime.
Well, no, because the first time...
Oh, the first time is when he sent the text to the other phone while it was running, correct? Isn't that why it's explained that way?
Yes, but the other thing is, the first time they put the whole batch of bananas in the microwave, not just one of them.
So then went the whole bunch of bananas.
Well, you'd think that
teleported
back to somewhere.
Is there a reason, or is it just?
That may be a hole. I don't know, or either that or my memory's mistaken. All good. Because I'm thinking that if it turns to gel, there was some element of time travel.
Yes, definitely.
And maybe the timer was set to a different time. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, so Daru is looking at a CERN particle accelerator online, and Okabe puts together CERN and time travel. And this is when they decide that they're going to hack into CERN.
Okay, and this is something that I found so fun. Not funny, but it's like, I get it, right? Okabe is a little crazy, but this is a whole nation's, like, government laboratory, right? How is one guy able to hack into this thing?
He's a hack.
I get he's a hack, but like, it's insane to me that just this one guy can go into this whole military government laboratory just unnoticed.
That's a very fair point. I'm not gonna debate that. I mean, that's a very fair point.
And it's like it wasn't even to the point where they started encrypting their files. Like that was before it got into the IBN 1500, 5100.
Well, yeah, because originally they were just wanting to hack in to see what they could find.
Yes, of course. So it's like he's just able to base level hack into them as one guy in college.
He's a prodigy.
He's a hack.
Oh, that was the other thing, is when they find out that so this time they sent a text backwards in time, so they're piecing this together.
Yeah.
And it spooks Kirisu to where she leaves.
Bye-bye. Oh yeah, and then I want to talk about her ties to America. I mean, they don't say much about it,
yeah.
But just the fact that she's from America, that's where her mother is. But later on, it's funny when she talks about her dad being gone for 6 years. She doesn't say her dad's dead.
Right.
She says her dad's gone, but she doesn't say her dad used to live in America, which I feel like implies that she's part Japanese.
I think she is, yes.
That her father lived in Japan, her mother's United States of America.
Or I think she's Japanese and they just traveled to the U.S.
America?
For research or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because she is a legit scientist.
Yeah,
and
and her name is Makase Kirisu, so she's definitely...
good point. Okay, well, whatever.
But no, you're definitely right. So they hack into CERN, or they decide to. They go outside, and Suzuhu mentions to him that she heard him talking about Teeter in the 5100.
Yes.
Although she mentioned it, and then she said she only knew it because she overheard it.
Yes. Oh, I don't remember what caused this. Oh, no. Keep going. Actually, my bad.
Okay, so then, and then they're back. I guess they're back up. Just at the computer, and he's reading Teeter's text.
Yes, and that's when I have in my notes just throwing out the idea that I feel like he's shifted world lines.
So, I mean, that's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, definitely.
And so he describes world lines and divergence number.
Yes.
I don't know if you picked up on that.
I don't know. I said I feel like I should be learning.
Yeah, you shouldn't know. You shouldn't understand it yet.
Okay. Thank you.
But the divergence numbers are what the numbers are on the vacuum tubes.
Microwave.
On the vacuum tubes, not on the timer. The timer is
I know.
time.
The timer's
okay.
the time. Thanks for spoiling what the vacuum tubes are.
Well, that's okay.
Your paper just fell.
I
know. I'm messing with you.
I know. So, and then this is where I think he reads a text, or because this is before.
Why'd you print this in color? Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm just
small pictures. I don't know.
I don't know. Save a little ink here and there. Save the planet. Anyway, continue.
I guess it just defaults, and I didn't even think about it.
No, just get it out.
So, and somehow he finds out from Teeter that the 5100 is required to stop CERN.
Yes. Which, Suzahu knows quite a lot about the 5100. Who could have guessed?
And then it ends with Daru hacking CERN.
Error.
They've successfully
Human
developed
is dead.
miniature black holes, and it ends with that.
Error. Human's dead. Mismatch. I just have. Why do I have Kurisu ? I don't know. Anyways, I also want to talk about this again. References. What's the hack's name?
Daru.
Daru says when hacking in, all your base are belong to me.
What's that from?
I don't know. It's just a pop culture reference. I think Kararo in some episode references is it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And I know it's like, and then same in Ghost Stories. I think. Ketro says it, but when he's playing with his little robot toy outside the train station that one episode. But I just thought it was funny, another pop culture reference.
See, and I
thrown
wonder
in there. If it's a translational thing.
Yeah, or if that's
But
something.
it's also I feel like with Steins it's hard to tell because I feel like Daru is just an internet man. He's 2010s internet. I feel like even in
probably true. All that, and one thing that drives me crazy is he calls it the interwebs.
He does.
Yes.
Interwebs because I'm so cool
I don't
and a hacker.
It just doesn't. A hacker wouldn't even say that. All right, so are we on
Episode
the 4?
4. I stole your paper from you.
No.
No, I can't read.
Entrepreneur?
No, it's
What's the word?
entrepreneur starts with E, right?
Yeah, what's the word?
Interpreter. I feel like I'm reading the reviews from last episode. Good God. Interpreter
Rendezvous?
I'm sorry. I don't speak French, first of all. Second of all, I've had troubles reading. I've had trouble reading today. To decode information about CERN's experiments, Daru needs to get a hold of an IBM 5100 computer. Okabe finds out where he can get this device from Teeter. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when they're in CERN, they find the proprietary code.
Yes. IBM 5100.
And this is where Okabe's starting to realize that they probably need the 5100 for it.
I also want to talk about, I mentioned this to you earlier, the guy who's uploading all these articles, his username is Jellyman, which is funny.
No, Jellyman's the guy within CERN, right?
Yeah, Jellyman's the guy within CERN uploading all the emails and files.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
They're Jellyman's documents.
That's who they're. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's who they're. Yeah, you don't like. And I agree with you. I think that does seem silly. I'm not sure why they chose to use the term Jellyman because it doesn't seem like that's what a huge, secretive organization would do.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Kirsu in her hotel room, lying in her bed, pondering the time machine. And Teeter emails back to Okabe.
Yes. And it's funny when I was first going through this before, fireworks are mentioned, all that stuff, I thought possibly that Teeter might just be Okabe himself from the future, just talking back to Okabe, guiding him through this. I feel like that'd be a little bit of a cop-out and a little bit confusing, but given Suzahu, I just kind of threw that theory away.
Okay. Can't comment.
I know.
Okay, so...
No, keep going, keep going.
Okay, so I was gonna say they both happen to go do their laundry at the same place.
Yes, and then that's when he catches Mayuri looking out at the sky.
Oh yeah.
And what parental figure in her life is dead? Is that important? Can you not tell me that? I'm gonna assume it's a parental figure because it cuts to her like grabbing at the sky, right? And then it fades or kind of like overlays her doing the exact same thing in front of a gravestone.
Yeah. I honestly can't remember.
Okay.
I
Assuming it's not that important then.
it's not important who it is.
Yeah, but it's important that someone in her life has died.
It's funny because I can't remember. I mean, it doesn't even matter if I say because I'm not spoiling anything, but I'm not spoiling anything that would matter.
That's fair. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they go to the laundromat, and Kirisu's there, and he's trying to convince Kirisu to come back to the lab.
I think this is when I talk about Kurisu being so conflicted in her motives and her life that it just physically hurts me.
Yeah.
It's just she's trying so hard to like bitch to him. She's bitching without backing. It's what I said to you earlier. It's like she's using all these big talk words. She's like, and she's like, I don't want you to go down the same path as my father. But then, like, it cuts to her back at the laundromat again. Like, not like she's not even left.
She doesn't want to go.
She doesn't want,
down the same path as her father.
But it's like, she's so conflicted. It hurts.
So
and that's when I
you
talk
don't
about
like that she's so conflicted.
I don't know. It's like I wish there was a little more depth to the confliction, right? And I feel like I sound like I'm analyzing a novel or whatever, but it's like I don't know. I wish there was a little more back and forth within her, or I mean, and I don't feel like it would fit in. But even if we could just see her internally struggle a little bit, because it just cuts from her being like no, and then it's just like 5 minutes later she's like, okay, I'll do it, fine, why not?
You'll learn more.
Okay.
Okay, so I like their exchange in the laundromat.
I do too, and I think it's funny when he says, as Street Talk says, payback's a bitch. I thought that was funny.
And it's what he was that where he that was because he had a ending line he thought was a good ending line, and he was going to leave, and she stopped him. She's like, "You're the one who's doing your laundry. I'm the one who's supposed to be leaving."
I thought that was funny too.
Okay, so
I have a note in here.
okay,
I'm altering this.
okay,
But I feel like Kurisu's dad might have past tense worked for CERN. I know you can't comment, blah 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 blah. But it's like that's kind of where my mind went, that she might have worked for CERN. But it's like, no, that doesn't make sense. But looking back, I feel like it's more notable that her father might have worked for CERN. That's all.
I'll just always say, okay, I got you.
Okay,
I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can understand that. So,
Oh, okay. I'll take over from here.
okay.
So he gets a tip. He gets a call from, because it cuts back to his house, right?
Yep.
And he's just kind of sitting. He's kind of like, right?
In the restaurant?
Yes.
Eating?
No, they are in the restaurant. They are eating, or he's eating alone specifically.
Okay, that's right. He's eating.
So he gets a call from Mayuri, and she's like, "Hey, look, Ferris. Oh, we haven't even talked about the fact that Ferris and the whole cat
Okay.
made
Well,
cafe exist. I guess that because that's where Mayuri works. That's
Yep.
where Ferris exists. That's where Daru goes often. Ferris has informed Mayuri that she knows a little something about the computer.
Yep.
The IBM 5100. So what happens is he rushes over there. He leaves the. I thought that was a whole funny exchange where she's yelling at him, "Get off, no phone! Do you see the sign?" And he drops the coin. That's not even enough to pay for his meal, and then just runs out of there to the cafe. And then there's the whole thing going on at the cafe where it's the board game
Yes.
extravaganza, and it's funny. Part of me was like, "Oh, great," because in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 8, they kind of do the same thing where they not really, but basically the main character of Part 8 enters a stag beetle fight with his like half sibling kind of
Okay.
to gather a vital piece of information, and in my opinion, it's one of the stupidest segments in all of JoJo. Because no, but it's like it's not even funny like Darby's or the Darby's, where
Right.
it's not like it's him being all. They're just legit engaging in a beetle fight, both using their stance to their ability. I don't know, and I was really hoping. I was like, okay, please don't have this board game segment be like a whole 15 minutes of them playing an actual board game. And then he says, "Oh yes, I'm so good at this game. My name is Kaboom."
That was his plan.
His plan. And then he's like, "I quit. Thank you. I surrender. You just said I had to enter the game. That's all. I quit." And it's such a dumb scene. And I want to play this board game so bad. It looks like a lot of fun, especially when they're playing it later. It looks like fun.
Is that the same game?
They're playing the same game, yeah.
What he and Kirisu are playing?
Yeah, it's the same game.
Okay.
It's. I googled it. There's like online versions of it. I can
Oh, are
play.
there really?
Yeah, I might try and learn it.
Oh,
Like, it
okay.
seems kinda
It's
funny.
not shoju. It's
No, it's its own game within its own universe. It's like a
okay.
game they invented.
Oh, okay.
So yes, that happens. They go to the thing.
So yeah, he finds out that Ferris doesn't know anything other than her father used to have one,
and then she.
but
goes,
it's at the shrine.
Yes.
So
Wait, her father left it at the shrine, or
her father donated it to the shrine, but that
donated it and said that in 10 years it would be of use, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know.
I'll have to fact check that.
Somehow he learns it's at the shrine. He goes to the shrine. On his way to the shrine, he gets a call from Kurisu.
This is one of my favorite scenes ever.
Hey, where are you headed? Why do you want to know? No, sorry. It starts off with her saying, "Hey, it's me." He's like, "Who's me?"
I know
I know
people
plenty of people named me. Oh, are you that one friend from Paris I met? And then she's like, "Okay, it's me, Kurisu." He's like, "Oh, when did you change your name?"
My wayward assistant.
So, and then her response is great. It's just, "Where are you headed?" He's like, "None of your business." She asks again. He's like, "I'm on my way to the shrine right now." And she doesn't respond. She just hangs up on him. And he's like, "Hang up. What a lovely way to respond."
Did you? So you liked that, or did you?
I thought it was funny.
So I'll tell you that. So, I got Mikkel obviously had suggested I watch this early on in my weeb time, and when I watched
weeb time?
when my weeb time started, I watched this episode and I actually recorded that little bit on my phone and sent it to her. And I said, "This is genius."
That's pretty funny. That's
I just
funny.
love that scene.
No, that's a great scene. Anyways, they go to the place. I want to talk about when he hangs up the phone, or she hangs up the phone. He yells into the phone in the middle of the street, "Harassment!"
Yes.
To end it on the icing on the cake. And then later on, when they're at the shrine, they're all talking. They're delaying. He's like, so they go to the shrine. They talk to Sword Dude about the computer. Kurisu starts to talk to him. And he's like, "What is this? This isn't some ice cream social."
Yes. That part was funny.
"This isn't some ice cream social."
And he introduced her as his assistant.
This is his assistant. She's like, "What? No introduction?" He's like, "This is an ice cream." So, anyways, but then the whole exchange between Kurisu and Sword Dude I thought was also really funny because it's dramatic irony for Okabe himself, knowing the fact that Sword Dude is a dude and not a girl, and Kurisu doesn't know that. Which made me write in my notes, "Kurisu lesbian?" ? Also, the fact that she was 18 also kind of shocked me. But
so I always forget Sword Dude's name.
I don't know.
But he asked Kurisu, "How old are you?" And she said 18. And he said something like,
"I'm only a year younger myself."
"Oh, you're so put together."
Yeah, you're so
like
put
basically
together.
saying, "Oh, you seem much older than that."
Yeah, you look old.
I guess if you tell an 18-year-old that's not really that offensive.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Oh, you're much prettier than I am."
Which is so funny because, first of all, I don't know. Well, it's funny because she kind of got a little flustered too when she said it. But I don't know if it was her receiving a compliment or if there is if I'm looking too deep, "Oh, Kurisu lesbian arc." but
Nah, you're.
I am.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you're off on that.
I'm just gonna make a joke about it. Anyways, they go get the computer. The dad of the sword dude's like, yeah, some guy gave this to us 10 years ago and said that it would help save the world or whatever. Which corresponds to the fact that John Teeter's always denying he showed up in 2000, which 10 years ago would be 2000, which
10 years ago would be 2000?
because the show takes place in 2010. 2010.
Yeah. Oh, 2000. Sorry, I'm thinking you meant 2010. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
So 10
okay.
years ago would
Yeah.
be 2000,
Yeah.
meaning that there's no denying John Teeter was there in 2000. That's all.
Okay.
I do not make my appearance on that. Whatever. And then they carry it back. The cart's not working, so the two of them they argue. And I love that too when he's shaming her. He's like, "You should be ashamed of yourself making him go get a cart for us."
So funny. Just pull your weight around here.
And then they carry it back through the middle of hot Japan, carrying this probably 100-pound computer. Sounds awful. And then when they're arguing about that too, she's like, I think we should walk sideways. You know what? Scratch that. We should walk sideways.
Yes.
That was also great and funny.
And she said, why should I be the one walking backwards? And he said, that's because you're facing backwards.
How am I facing backwards?
You can't face backwards.
All right, and then it ends there. Episode 5, Starmine, Rendezvous.
Nice.
Yeah, give me that nod of approval. After Suzuha meets Kurisu, she warns Okabe in front of the lab member. In the meantime, Daru manages to decipher the secret data of CERN, and a terrible secret comes to light. Opens up with her fiddling with a pin in her hand.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. It looks kind of like a beetle. I don't know.
You think it's
All I can no, yeah, I know exactly.
Giorno's.
Yeah, not Giorno's. It's Jolene's brooch, or not Giorno. Sorry, Jolene. The thing Jolene pricks her finger on at the beginning of part 6 inside the locket. That's all I can think of when I see it.
Oh, I think because doesn't.
Giorno's brooch is a ladybug.
Okay, yeah, that's what I said. Okay, you thought
But
this looked like
Jolene
what?
gets her finger pricked in the beginning of part 6 with the beetle, the stand arrow.
Oh,
beetle.
okay. That's right.
So that's what I thought it looked like as well. Opens up with that. And then they walk back, passing the lab. She sees Kurisu. She freaks the fuck out.
Yeah, she goes into her fighting stance.
Yeah, she has like a sword on her waist too, or something.
I think she had a broom,
A broom. Okay.
but she was
Sweeping.
wielding it as if it was
Yeah.
a sword. Yeah, Kirisu's confused.
Because she utters Makise Kurisu's name in
Yeah.
her head or under her breath or something like that.
Yep.
And then they have their little discussion. A lot happens. Just going off memory, they take the IBN back up because oh my god, that's so great as well. When they're carrying it in front of the thing, and she's like, "Oh, what you got there?" He's like, "Normally I'd be sworn to secrecy, but today is a different day. For we have found," and then Kurisu's like, "It's an IBN."
Yeah, that's right.
5100.
5100.
And she's like, "Oh, cool." And they take it back up. They fiddle with it. Daru's like, "Look, I can't just stick an Ethernet cable in this bad boy. This thing was made before the internet. I need you to go out and get some parts for me, please." Am I missing something?
Nope.
You're looking at me like okay.
Nope.
So he gets a shopping list. He asks Kurisu to do it at first. He's like, "Assistant, Christina, go." And Mayuri's like, she doesn't know where any of this stuff is. So
Daru.
Daru
said.
Daru says that. My bad. And then he's like, "Okay, you should come with me though." And then Mayuri's like, "No, I'm gonna give her a tour, cause maybe if she knows where everything is, she'll like the place a little bit more." They make a joke about Daru being a creep because Mayuri showered there before.
Right.
Man, I don't know.
I don't love that
I don't
aspect
like
of
that
it.
either. I think I want to punch myself in the face every
I
time
don't like-
Daru makes a
Yes,
sex joke.
I agree. I
Because
agree with
it
that.
appears in the end of this episode too, and we'll get to that when they squeeze the sponge later.
Yes, I agree with that.
She
And Mayuri tells Kirisu that she's Okabe's hostage.
yes, hostage in quotes, and then she later reveals that they're just childhood friends. Her hostage of her own will, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Which completely defies the definition of a hostage. But
True.
anyways, at the computer repair shop, Okabe runs into, I'm blanking on her name. Suzuhu. Suzuhu's like, oh, what are you trying to repair the IBN? He's like, yep. She's like, I knew a man who knew a lot about the IBN, but he died 6 years ago.
Is that what it was? I didn't remember.
6
the time
years,
frame.
yes, 6 years. Which, given to my theory that John Teeter would make sense, but I don't know. I marked down the fact that she's schizo. When the helicopter flies over, and she's like, "Oh, it's an air raid or whatever, or an air attack."
Yeah.
And then that's when my theory starts. She mentions the fact that there's a fireworks show going on tonight. She's like, "What are she's like, fireworks? I've only heard of those before. I've never actually seen them."
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it's like, oh man, maybe she's from the future, only ever hearing of fireworks. She's so awkward too with her slang and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my theory really starts. And then looking back, it kind of all piles up together. It's like,
remember also when they were eating lunch, she was.
Well, that's next episode.
Oh, that is okay.
That is next episode.
Okay.
And then which brings me back to the element of is it still up on my Google tab? Yes, Chekhov's gun. The show embodies it, in my opinion. That it's a detail that is brought up that is used in a plot relevancy. It's not just a one-off throwaway.
You think
thing.
it is?
I think it is.
Yeah.
And they believe you to think it is.
Yeah.
Or it
But
has,
if it turns out they're not, then
Then
that's bad storytelling, right?
under Chekhov's principle.
Yeah.
Which is like it gets all wrapped up in the end, so it doesn't really matter. But it's like, I don't know. Sometimes red herrings are nice, sometimes they aren't.
How do you know it gets wrapped up in the end?
Because you said it does.
Oh.
You said everything gets explained at the end.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean every little detail does.
Well, that's not. I mean, yeah, but it should be to the point, to the overall principle where the red herring isn't still like an elaborate thing of like, oh, why'd she say that?
Yeah.
I
mean, and honestly,
it
I
could be.
can't remember well enough to know
can't.
whether. Okay.
They
and Suzuhu tells him.
Yes, to be careful of Kurisu because of something that she'll do later on.
Yeah.
Which is like, huh? Which just adds more to the fact that, time traveler, blah, 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 blah. Kurisu has a change of heart. I don't remember what exactly spawned it, but that's just what I wrote
Kurisu
down.
and Mayuri were going to watch the fireworks.
Fireworks, yes.
And I can't remember how he convinced Christina to go to the lab either.
Yes, but he's like, and she's like, well, I am 005 until I get back, or 004
that's right,
until I get back to America. Which is like, it's cool, But,
again, it's a little bit of her conflict. Like no matter whether it's having fun or something that's troubling her about this, from an intellectual standpoint, she wants to learn about.
Yeah, of course. That's when
you're seeing with the. Oh.
Mayuri, socially normal.
Oh, okay. That's right.
And he's like, yo, God. Or no, she says, one of you guys are socially normal, one of you guys aren't. He's like, yeah, I know Mayuri can be a little bit weird. He's like, and she's like, I wasn't talking about Mayuri, but okay.
So then
then they play the board game.
Well, before that's your favorite scene.
My favorite scene?
Where he makes her put her hands in her pocket of the lab coat.
Yes. So they get back to the lab and she dons a lab coat. Well, I don't even remember the reason. She just wanted to wear it. Right? She's like, she
just feels comfortable in a lab coat.
I feel comfortable in a lab coat. It's my coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And oh my God, he goes on this whole rant about how lab coats show you truly
get it.
Science. You get it, and none of these other people want to wear a lab coat because they're not cool. We're cool. Put your hands in your pocket. Let's stand back to back and be really awesome.
That's cheesy.
It's cheesy, but I will admit it's funny. It got a good chuckle out of me.
All right, good.
And then they play the board game. I in my notes I just say they are such losers. That's my note for that lab coat scene. And then they play the board game.
And he drinks the Dr. Pepper. They discuss Dr. Pepper.
And in quotes, in my thing, I have in all caps, Dr. Pepper. Yeah.
She must have been drinking a decaffeinated,
Dr. Pepper, which
caffeine free.
do they even make caffeine-free Dr. Pepper?
Yeah,
They do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyways, Kurisu's like some Okabe. He goes on a whole. What did she say? I don't know. Maybe I'm crying because a rampant man just got up randomly and just started screaming at me.
And then
and then he says, "Daru, the woman is crying," which I thought was just so dumb.
And then
so
what the funny thing is, what did Daru say?
Daru's how what did he say? I don't remember.
He said something to the effect of,
Did
you hear what she just said?
Did you hear her short-winded rant or something like that?
Did you not hear her short-winded rant?
Yes.
So then Daru gets the 5100 working, and they begin to break CERN code.
Yes, they do.
They get a Z program article, space-time continuum,
yes.
phase force, human testing. Oh, and then this is this is an important scene too.
Something with I have in quotes in my thing, Big Man has feelings.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So before they go to crack the code, it occurs to Okabe that this could be putting them in danger.
Yes.
And he asked them, "Are you sure you want to continue with this?"
Oh, yeah, I called him Big Man because he's like hyping himself up in that moment.
Yes, and then Kurisu said something like, "Well, of course why would you ask me that?" or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, "It's because you're important to
the scientific research."
And when he said that, he's Okabe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kurisu gets tested, ? I have in my notes. I don't know what that'd be referring to.
So I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the very end. So before that, though, what they found in the files.
Yes, is the fact that there are several experiments of CERN actually having successful time travel.
Well,
it's successful in quotes.
Yeah.
There were 4 stages of the project, something that required a lot of aluminum floaters.
The lifter.
Mr. Biochemist, excuse me.
Well, I just remember.
I know.
Although supercharged aluminum, if you run high voltage through aluminum, it'll float.
Yeah. What aluminum? Oh, like sturdy aluminum or aluminum foil?
That's what they said.
I don't know. Anyways,
the important part is that they unearthed articles from years back
talking about CERN's experiments, proving that they...
Well, no, but it'd just be like a pop culture newspaper. Sorry, pop the mic.
Yeah, pop culture pop mic.
Just a normal news article. Like in Tokyo, a guy was found at the foot of
Mount, whatever, with
not Fuji, but half out of a tree or whatever.
And his skin was lime green.
Yeah, and somebody in
Jello.
Great Britain in like 1920 was found halfway through a wall.
Someone in India had halfway in a road or whatever.
Oh yeah, with their legs run over. Was
green body.
So
it's clearly
they've sent people back in time, but not live people. Yeah.
Kurisu gets tested
so they meet up on the roof. He goes up on the roof. And because he's pretty shaken up. Okabe gets shaken up.
He's like, dude, that's kind of scary.
Yeah. He goes up to the roof, and then Kurisu goes up there, and then he has his rant, I think, about wanting to create a time machine.
Are we gonna skip the sponge sequence?
That hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, it has.
Did it?
Because it's he.
Oh yeah, that's when he's up. That's when he's up on the.
He's up on the roof alone for a bit.
That's right, and she's in the lab with Daru.
And
okay, yes.
When she gets tested, how did she get tested? I don't even remember. I don't know.
I thought I think the test is when she's on the roof with Okabe. He says, "Are you in this with me? Are you on it? Do you want to do this?"
Okay.
But while she's alone with Daru, yes,
they're talking about the fact. And it's. I hate the fact that it's important too. The fact that
it's not really important.
Does it not have to do with the text messages and how they get cut in half? It's the fact that you can only cram so much matter into a black hole.
Yeah, but it's
or whatever, and then he makes it into a bunch of sex jokes.
It's only important as a fact. I mean, it's a fact. It doesn't have to be explained away or anything like that.
I don't know. They explain it. He makes a bunch of sex jokes. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I don't
like Daru.
Yeah, he's
bottom line. Anyways,
all right, episode 6.
yeah. I also wrote that I don't know. I don't know if it's Okabe in this moment or if it's Kyoyin or whatever in this moment. But that he might have something of a god complex. I don't know if that's way too illogical, but he seems
Yeah, absolutely.
very bent on not like saving the world for him, not saving the world for everyone, but instead taking control away from CERN and keeping it for himself.
Yeah, Halloween, as Halloween, his goals are not righteous.
Yes. Not at all. I didn't want to loop back around to this. This was just a random comment I made. Anyways,
Whoa.
in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7, there's a stand called D4C, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Okay.
Everyone just called it D4C.
That's so cool.
Said it was such a bad asshole remark. I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
Just being sarcastic. Go ahead.
But basically, the stand can take people between alternate dimensions, and if two alternate dimension versions of yourself meet, you explode.
Okay.
Which is another thing where I'm talking about world lines and parallel universes being like kind of one and the same, kind of not, because it's specifically Error, Human, Dead. What is it? Mismatch. Mismatch. It's the mismatch for me that specifically brought up.
So
that
you think
point.
they're missing the world line?
Missing the not? I think
And I can't. I don't know what. I don't think it's ever explained what mismatch means, so I'm not going to be able to. I'm not spoiling by having this conversation.
But I don't know. It made me think that it's something about humans being taken out of world lines and the fact that do they explain why they're green and jelly at all or no?
I don't think so.
Anyways, it made me think that the reason that it's them taking them out of it could be them taking them out of a world line, putting them in another world line, and the fact that because they're not from the world line they originated in, or not in a place where they're supposed to be in the world line, that it's like a kind of D4C type thing where it's in a place where you're not supposed to be with a maybe future version of you existing in a space outside of space and converging into green.
Could be.
I don't know. That was just me spitballing. Episode 6. Butterfly Effect's Divergence, which I find funny because nowhere in the episode does the butterfly effect take place or a divergent, unless I'm just being stupid. But basically, unless this is like at the point of where Steins Gate 0 is existing. Is Steins Gate 0 shorter than Steins Gate?
No.
No?
They're both 24.
Do they both have the same like opening filler episode, or not filler, but do they both have the same opening explanation, or does Steins Gate 0 jump directly into the action?
I don't recall how exactly it starts.
All good.
So that part of, and I'll explain part of why I have to hesitate on what I say is
Because 0 kind of
0 and this is not a spoiler. 0 and Steins Gate intertwine.
yeah, I know.
And so a lot of times I can't remember what I've seen in which.
That's fair. It's all good. Anyways, Season 1, Episode 6, Butterfly Effect Divergence. Ogame experiments with sending texts now called D-mails, don't get me started, into the past and unsuccessfully prevents Mocha from learning the true nature of his work. So, Episode 6, it starts off with them talking about the satellite on the news. Moeka's there. She gets asked a question. And I don't know if this is her just having an anxiety, unsocial breakdown, but it cuts to her in the middle of an alleyway, like crying or whatever, right? As
And
she looks at her phone.
And the phone, by the way, you didn't notice probably, it's got a ton of messages from one person called FB.
FB, yes. Okay. So that makes sense because then FB comes back later in the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is where she's eating lunch with
yes,
Daru and
yeah,
Okabe.
this is when she's eating lunch. Never had a beeful before. I've heard all they definitely live up to the hype. Another evidence that she might be John Teeter. They go back to after lunch. They just head back. And then the guy's like, "Okay, your lunch break ended 5 minutes ago." They all go up to the lab, and they start talking about the experience. They're thinking about it.
They're working on a name
They're
first.
working on a name. And the name they come up with is D-mail or DeLorean mail, which is a reference that they don't acknowledge because they're like, oh, what's a DeLorean? They're like, I don't know.
So
I don't care. Let's just get the name over with.
Okay, I don't remember who suggested DeLorean mail.
Mayuri.
And she obviously knew why she was suggesting it.
I would assume so.
But Okabe didn't get it.
None of them acknowledged the fact that it was a reference. Okabe said, I don't understand it. Kurisu and Daru just said nothing. Kurisu was something along the lines of, whatever, it works, shorten it to email, let's get over with this.
That's funny, okay. I get your gripe.
So they run experiments. They run an experiment. They do the microwave. They open the door to replicate when the banana teleported back. They get the banana to teleport back successfully.
Yeah, and before that, something...
They send it... Sorry. Actually, yeah, I want to get into this. I don't feel like they understand how a science experiment works. They're so focused on changing so many variables at once.
That's funny.
And I don't know if this is the me speaking through you, but it's like, Daru's like, why don't we just can't we do a cucumber or something?
Right.
For bananas are running low. And Okabe kind of gets it, but he's also talking about that it needs to be in the set hours of the time of day.
So that's the one thing that he's observed, is that every time it's been successful, it's been between the hours of 12 and 1 and 5 and 6, I think it is.
Which is like, but then isn't the point to do it outside of that time? Well, I guess they do it outside of that time, because during the whole time they're out, Kurisu successfully maps all of it, all the rules down to a board. So I'm not going to worry about that. But it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they know how a science experiment works.
No, you're right on that. And I should, with my background, I should have been more critical of that. So the one thing that was of note too is when...
Oh, yes, the message gets cut off in 2 parts.
Well, no, before that is when Okabe figures the timing part and it works, Kurisu says to him, good job, Okabe. And he doesn't get mad at her for saying...
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
And then this is when they go to the store.
So Kurisu sends him a text to trigger the microwave.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And the text gets cut in half. It says Okabe is... Which you doesn't even pick up on that when it says Okabe in the text either.
Right.
Okabe is...
Good point.
And then it gets cut off, and the second text is airhead. Which he's like, what's an airhead? She's like, oh, it's a compliment we use in the United States. But basically, they make a big note of the fact that the text gets cut off and they only have a 36 character limit.
Yeah.
Later, they go to the store, I think just to go get food, right? There's no reason they're going to the store.
Yeah, and Daru's got all
the stuff. He's like, what are you, stockpiling for the apocalypse or whatever? And then he's like, wait, hold on a second. Airhead would mean my head is full of air. That's not a compliment. And Daru's like, it took you that long to figure it out? Anyways, Daru splits off for a second. He goes to look at jelly. He sees the green jelly and just kind of gets like a psychological...
Okabe
does, yes.
Yeah, he realizes there might be danger.
Like, oh, good.
And doesn't he say at this point in time something about, and Mayuri's involved, or thinks...
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, he thinks that about the gravity of it and that he's gotten Mayuri involved in
yes,
it.
Actually, yes, he does.
Yeah.
Which shows again that he does have feelings inside of him.
Yeah. And this is where they see Shining Finger.
Yes, they see Shining Fingers walking out of the store.
And stupid Daru.
Oh my god. I just have yikes. El Riz. Because he's like, man, who's the hottie with a nice ass and boobs right in front of us? Yeah. Okay, but I do want to pick up on this. When later on they show text from Moeka, right?
Okay.
The text to Moeka with Okabe has a heart emoji in it.
I did notice that.
I don't know if anything.
Nah.
Nothing blooms between. I just thought it was interesting that she chose to use a heart emoji.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Anyways,
and she's sending him a bunch of texts, but he doesn't have his phone on him.
Yes, which is important because when they get back, he's like, when they get back to the lab, they're like, oh, your phone went off a bunch of times. Anyways, he gets mad that she just can't speak up. And then they head back to the lab. He talks to Suzu what now?
Suzu.
And
She tells Okabe that Mr. Braun is pissed about the floor shaking.
Floor shaking. What I picked up on was when he goes to ask her about Kurisu again, he's like, oh, did something happen in y'all's past? She says nothing happens in the past. Specifically, nothing happens in the past. Is this me being too, like, magnifying glass right up to that? Once again, it falls back to, I'm going to keep switching to this Google tab. Chekhov's gun. It's a random detail that she specifically acknowledges nothing's happened in the past. Nothing happens between them at all.
Right.
Anyways, that's when he goes to tell him to stop about the floor. Blah 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 blah. He looks at his phone, and one of the texts from Moeka has a heart emoji. That's all.
Okay. And then this is where Kurisu has sketched out how the D-Wave works.
Yes, and it's one. Do you have it all written down?
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
So 1 second on the timer equals an hour. Therefore, a minute 30 seconds would equal 5 days. You can only do 6 full Japanese characters or 12 half characters.
So I don't know how it translates. I don't care.
Yeah. And then the one thing I want to do when I'm watching this time that I hadn't done in the past is take note of the day and time, because it does the cutscenes where it tells you what the date is.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, it was August 2nd, 2010.
So you want to see if it's actually 5 days back?
Well, I want to just kind of keep track of...
Make a timeline?
Nah, well, I'm not going to make a timeline.
Okay, well, what? Okay, fine.
And then you get that weird part where Okabe's in a black hole.
Yes, and they talk about the fact that infinite is not infinity. Worlds are bound to end at some point, and he kind of goes into an existential dread. He asks, he's like, well, then what's the point of anything? And she's like, to just keep moving forward to find... What is it to find what?
Reality has a beginning and end. Always has, always will. Find the... I think she said find the edge.
Find the edge, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Which is funny because going back to episode 5, I think there's something in CERN's notes that talk about ending and starting or like replacing a world or something like that.
I don't remember that.
Okay. I thought I picked up on that, and I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. So that's what happens. Existential dread. I will say, it's got a good message to it.
What?
I know that's like a stupid thing to pick out, but it's got a nice little moral message to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And it goes on. Okay, so let's finish this up and then let's do some overall thoughts and we can wrap stuff up. So,
because we're at an hour 20 right now.
Okay. So, the next morning, I love this one where Shining Fingers keeps texting him.
God. Okay. That is such a great scene. I love that. She shows up at his house this morning. He's like, "Oh, what do you want?" She goes in. She's like, "Is that?" She texts him the whole time. And she's like, "Is that?"
Well, that part where he's laying on the couch sleeping, reading all the text, and they're saying stuff like, "Are you still sleeping? Are you sleeping now?"
Oh, does she? I didn't read all the text. I just remember the fact of
yes. And he's like, "Who wouldn't be sleeping at this hour?" Anyhow, so she comes in. She wants to see it.
She wants to see the IBN 5100, and then this is okay. Honestly, this is one of the funniest scenes to me. Just so she asked to see it, right? She asked them to take pictures of it. He's like, just don't get my face in it,
right?
And then she asked to borrow it. And he's like, oh, I can't. I'm borrowing it from a friend. She's like, oh, what friend? Sorry. First, he's like, if you want to even think of borrowing, if you even want to ask me, I expect you to say it to me in words.
Yes, that's
right.
And
there's no which I picked up on this. There's no stumbling when she goes to ask. She directly asks, "Can I borrow it?"
Yeah.
There's no stumble. There's no like her trying to over-hurdle it.
She's extremely determined.
She is. And then he's like, "No, I can't. I borrowed it from a friend." She's like, "Oh, what friend?" He's like, "The shrine." Blah 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 blah. And then Haru walks in, and I was like, "Oh, something about the." How's the D-mail going? Send a mail back to the past, and he says something. Oh, it's simple cuneiform. Right. Is that what it is? Sumerian?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
And then, is it Mayuri or Kurisu who walks in next?
I think it's Kurisu next.
And she's like, "Oh, hey, how's the time travel going?" And it's just
yes, because then
they're so like, slick with it. It's just it made me laugh very much.
And then so he had to make Moeka 005. So
005, and she seems so excited. Well, okay. She mentions TB again.
FB.
FB, Facebook.
Correct. Facebook.
I'm gonna nitpick you on this. You
What?
keep like starting your sentences while you're peaked
Oh,
all the
okay.
way
Sorry.
from the mic.
Sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, FB.
Don't know how this thing works.
Oh, the mic. What? Okay. So yeah, and then he's like, okay, you know what? I got no other choice to christen. He says christen.
All right.
To christen you as 005, and then the episode ends.
So that's 1 through 6. So
That's 1 through 6.
okay.
Episode 4 is like 2 and 3 were like, I did not enjoy 2 and 3, and I will say I did not enjoy 2 and 3.
Right.
4, it starts to get good. I won't deny that. And I think I may have been a little tainted going in to episode 4 after seeing episodes 2 and 3, because episode 2 and 3 were kind of dragging for me and I just didn't enjoy them. But I like it. I can definitely see myself finishing the series at this point.
Good, I'm glad,
think
because
I'm too invested.
for a little while I thought you were going to be upset with this, but I didn't care because I knew that you would end up coming around once you got. I'm excited for the next episode we do, for the next 6.
Next 6.
And let's decide if we want to do 6 again or maybe just 4.
4.
Because what
Email us.
Yeah,
At Generational Anime Pod.
There you go.
Do you like longer episodes with more content in them? Or like, do you like one shot of 6 that's a longer episode? Or do you want us to break it into 4 and keep it as like 45-minute episodes? Let us know. At generationalanimepod@gmail.com. Thank you.
So,
Write us anything.
Yeah.
I don't care. I will.
Somebody
practically
dethrone
read anything.
Maya.
Yeah, someone dethrone Maya.
because we're going to have more to talk about too.
Yes, definitely.
And,
they're gonna get longer and longer.
Yeah, and you're going to start to enjoy more because it starts to get.
So yeah, and then I'm sure I get batches of board on quicker. Blah 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 blah.
Also, we didn't talk about. I love him Okabe naming stuff.
Yes,
Like he
wants to name it all after himself all the time. It's so fun.
Everything's still TBD, even though they've decided.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny.
Okay, so good. I'm glad you're.
Yeah,
I'm
I am
glad you
too.
started
I
to come
am too.
around. That's good. All right,
So I don't know. I might throw a filler episode in here. I don't know if it's best to leave it unbroken. I might throw a filler episode. I have a friend, and I specifically want to get them on here, and we want to discuss the first 12, 13 chapters of JoJo Lands Part 9, because I think that'd be a very interesting subject. Personally, you wouldn't be involved. Boo-hoo.
Right.
That's all.
just as long as you keep up on watching these.
Steins. Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's about it.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, we're on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Please share us around to your friends.
Yes, please rate us.
Please rate us. Please share us around. We're not making any money off of this so far yet, I say. And I don't even know if we will. I don't even know if you want to open a Patreon or not. That's the thing I think we discuss when we get to that point of popularity. But we got to get to that point of popularity. So help us. Share it around. Email us at generationalanimepod@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.